Welcome to Entry Point Virtual Church. We are so glad that you've joined us today. Today, we are focusing on what it means to mark a special moment in the midst of a pandemic.
Graduation, senior nights. They're memory-making experiences for high school seniors, but that might not be the case this year. Today, Travis Robinson spoke with some seniors as they worry about missing out because of the virus.
Students may only be in school for a couple more weeks this year. And while that may sound great to some kids, others are missing out on more than just a day in the classroom. High school seniors see the empty parking lots, empty fields, and are trying their best not to feel an emptiness themselves as they think about what they're missing at school.
Everyone just needs to stay positive, hope for the best, and take care of yourself, because I know this is going to be really hard.
But as school gets pushed back further and further, there's a lot of disappointment.
And it's kind of just being ripped out of our hands. And I think it's just really heartbreaking to watch our senior year just kind of crumble to pieces, essentially.
With that final year of high school comes moments like prom that students have heard about for years but may never get a chance to attend.
We've worked our entire lives for these moments, and I'm the youngest of 5, so I got to see all my siblings have these great memories, and just to think that could not happen for me when I've been waiting my whole life to be just like my siblings, it's just kind of disappointing.
Some wonder if the cancellations keep up, that they've already seen their last day of school.
They need to prepare for your last day of school. Last time you've seen your teachers, even some of your classmates, you'll probably never see them again. I feel like you always need that last time when you know it's your last time seeing them.
The seniors say prom, graduation, and seeing friends may not seem like the most important issue during a quarantine, but it's something deeply personal to them. The seniors say they hope eventually these events can be made up for if they do get canceled, but they're hoping it doesn't come down to that.
My high school graduation was definitely a lot different than I expected, and it's all due to this pandemic. Basically, over these last 4 years, I had expected so much more when it came to my graduation. There was supposed to be the less exciting parts, all the waiting for the actual event, but being able to walk up on that stage and actually receive my diploma in front of all my friends and family, that was something I was really excited for. And obviously, that ended up not happening. Still though, I'd have to say the school did try their best to create a really good environment for the graduation they actually held. In the end, they had us drive up to our high school football field where they had set up several tents in different areas with a couple volunteers who would cheer us on and congratulate us for graduating while we waited to get up to the front and center stage. That was, in its own way, really nice and sweet because there were still people that were there to support me and everything that I had done to get to that moment. While driving, there were also a couple radio stations sponsored by the school that also just set up these little mementos with various songs over our high school year that had been popular. It was nice to look back and remember that I had specific memories with all these songs from a small child to where I am now. After a while, we did end up getting to the front stage where our own principal waited and gave me my diploma. That was still very nice because it was reminiscent of what once would be. And he congratulated for my success. After that, he had a photo taken of us together with my family in the car. That was also very sweet. It's nice to still have these memories of this event, even though it's not this gigantic thing that I hoped it was. And also to make up for the lack of a graduation party due to social distancing, I had a Zoom call with my own family, and that was still really nice. It was fun to see all of them and to hear their congratulations, almost if they were still right next to me, shaking my hand and telling me I did a wonderful job to get where I am now. Overall, there were a lot of things I still missed from the big graduation, but the school tried their hardest, and so did my family, and I have to give them credit. They did a wonderful job. I love everything that came out of this pandemic, even though it wasn't the greatest. I think everyone's still trying their best to give big events the recognition they deserve, and that's wonderful.
I have to say that I absolutely love the way Carmel High School did the graduation as opposed to a traditional across the stage. She has 1,500 kids in her class, so that would have mean going down to the Coliseum and spending 4.5 hours down there. Ugh. We drove up at our designated time. We went in through all these balloon arches and flags, and the high school radio station was playing music and kind of a through the years anthology type of thing. And all these cars were decorated, people were honking. We drove up, we got her diploma. They even took a picture of her in the car, of course, and we were done with all of this in under 40 minutes. It was fantastic. My son's coming up for graduation next year, and I gotta say, I would much rather do it this way than the traditional across the stage.
August 8th of this year will mark the 55th wedding anniversary of my parents. My sisters and I, due to logistical reasons, were not able to throw them a 50th wedding anniversary celebration. We did a 40th, but that was 15 years ago, and this is now a fairly important milestone. And the idea for the celebration was something we were bandying about almost a year ago, trying to decide what we wanted to do and what kind of celebration that we wanted. And of course, just about the time that we got immersed into our plans, COVID-19 came around and put those on hold. And then we thought, well, that's okay, because the celebration's in August, this is March, surely we'll be back to normal in April. Then April came, surely we'll be back to normal in May, and as you know, things cascaded. It looked like things were going to get better, and that we were opening up almost like a flower blooming and coming out to this new life, and all of a sudden we're having these issues again. We are going to have the celebration, although this year it's going to be a little bit different. We made it an open house, so people are coming and going. It's not going to be everybody accumulating in one spot. The celebration ceremony part of it, we're going to have outdoors. We'll have masks and hand sanitizer available, and any tables that people will sit in will be 6 feet apart. The important part is that we're together, that we are honoring my parents on this special occasion to show our reverence for their respect, love, and commitment they've had for one another for 55 years. Is it different than what we wanted? Sure. But the fact is, people will be there, maybe not all at one time, but be there to show their respect. And so, yes, it's a different way of celebrating the milestone, but we still get to do it out of respect for them.
Sam and I have been talking about life during this post-COVID experience and how it's affected all of us, how it's impacted our lives. So, Sam, tell me what it's been like for you and for your family.
For me personally, this had a profound impact because I had taken time away from work to be with my mother as she was in hospice, at home hospice, 5 hours away, and wanted to be there to care for her in the last stages of her life. And so COVID-19 created a scenario where I don't think it's how my mom wanted to end her life. The combination of being able to see friends before she passed was pretty much eliminated. The funeral looked much different than what we would have expected and frankly planned for. My mom was a big planner, and so we had a year in advance planned what the program was going to be and a luncheon and all sorts of things. And obviously with what's going on, that that all got canceled for a later date, I should say, postponed, because we still at some point would like to have that service up in Michigan. And I would say for me, just in terms of caring for her, being quarantined, and especially in a place that was impacted as heavily as Michigan, the Detroit area, that was one of the harder hit areas of the country. That put additional stress on me of making sure that I was extra careful with who I came in touch with, doing things like going to the grocery store, really being careful, not only me, but having to have my family do the same thing, because when I would come home between spending a week or so up in Michigan, I had to make sure that my family was adhering to the same strict guidelines, because if one of them got infected, then of course that would infect me, and then I would impact my mother.
Did you have the opportunity to have the same kind of gathering for her funeral? Did the people that you wanted to be present at her funeral, were they able to be there because of the COVID situation or not?
No. So we had 10 people in attendance, and it was just immediate family. And normally I have family in Philadelphia, family in California, and they would have come. But given COVID and given the age of a few of these people, it wasn't safe. The minister wasn't comfortable having more than about 10 or 12 people, because where we had the service, we had it outside, and it was in a fairly small area, intimate area where we had buried her ashes. So it had a big impact on what it looked like, and it was a very nice service. I mean, even with the impact, it was a beautiful day, and it was an intimate experience because it was smaller. But there certainly would have been another half dozen immediate family that I wish could have been there. I mean, I think to have a church full of people would have been more emotional for me. I didn't find myself that emotional at the service itself, but the morning getting ready, I was getting something out of the dryer, and I realized that it was the last load of laundry I ever did for my mom, and it was still in the dryer when she was still alive, and I started bawling, like a baby. Just it really hit me. So the service itself didn't, although I think if it was a more traditional, I think there would have been a lot more emotion to it. There was kind of a likeness, as I said. We, at the end of the service, with the minister, were telling funny stories about my mom, and we each were, oh yeah, remember this, oh yeah, remember that, and now it's kind of neat. It was kind of fun to relive some of those memories. To the last day, to her last breath, she was sharp as a razor, and we had great conversations over the 8 weeks that I spent with her. So there was a real sweetness in our time together, in terms of, oh my gosh, going through boxes and reading old college papers that she'd written, and going through just stuff from my grandparents, and that was really, really special. So for me, it was the hardest thing I've ever done, just emotionally, but it's also the most rewarding thing I've ever done, and I'm so glad that I did it. And it's something that it has shaped the way that I look at things.
Everybody, would you want to meet our pandemic baby? This is Zane Henry Ellison, and he was born June 29th, and 7 pounds 2 ounces, 19 inches long, and he's wonderful. He's extremely healthy now. Was at birth, but the pandemic did make things a little bit different. My son was not able to go to a lot of the doctor's offices with his fiancee, Casey. They were going to be at a hospital closer, but that became a COVID hospital. So they knew they were going to deliver at a hospital that was an hour and 5 minutes away. They live in Upper Michigan. None of the grandparents, so me and Dave, nor her side of the grandparents, could go to the hospital. So we just kind of had to wait. And now that he's born, it's different. It's not like you have everybody you went to over to see your beautiful baby. You're super careful, washing hands, wearing masks. And I haven't kissed him yet, because you just never know. I'm being really careful. So it's different, but it's still very, very wonderful.
Please pray with me. God, our reality today is so different from what it was when we entered 2020, yet we have found the resilience and perspective to make it through. We are an adaptable lot. We hit roadblocks and speed bumps, and we continue our journey. Thank you for making us this way. COVID burst onto the scene and disrupted life as we knew it. But it didn't stop our lives from progressing. Babies were born, students graduated, loved ones passed, and time just kept ticking away. Thank you for the times that we've found peace in the midst of unsettling and sometimes incomprehensible happenings. Thank you for our loved ones and all those who care for and about us because they have made life bearable. And thank you for all of life's milestones. They have made these unfamiliar times somehow feel familiar. We are grateful for all of life's blessings and all of its goodness, and our gratitude endures, God. Amen.
Join us next Sunday at 10:30 a.m. for an outdoor service at Connor Prairie. At that service, we will talk about how beautiful life is. In the meantime, have a great week. Keep your head held high and go in peace. Amen.